the Hudson Valley. We hope that you enjoy your visit to this national treasure called West Point and this evening's competition.
Ryan. We're going to go on after the anthem.
Let's welcome the gymnastics.
So we're going to go on after the anthem. We're going to start. So just cue us when we're on, you know? Give us standby.
And a very good evening, everyone, and welcome to Crystal Arena at the United States Military Academy at West Point for the 31st annual West Point Gymnastics Open. Rich DeMarco, great to be back with you alongside two Army Gymnastics legends. Arnie Ferrando, class of 78, Lieutenant Colonel Dan Cullum, class of 2003. And gentlemen, welcome. Here we are. It's like we say, it's the same time next year scenario for us, it seems to be.
Sure is.
31 of these, Doug Van Everen, the legendary Army coach in year number 34. This is his baby, the West Point Gymnastics Open. And so much camaraderie, so much fellowship here, and just one of the great nights in Army sports and great weekends in Army sports each year.
Yeah, it really is. This is such an important meet for these guys. You know, for many of them, this is probably the first experience they've had competing at that collegiate NCAA level. And then to have it on such a big stage, it's really great exposure for these new guys.
And Arnie, you've been coming out to these for a couple decades.
Yeah, since I had hair and hair color, like I said. It's been quite a long time.
Decades, Arnie.
Decades, exactly. Exactly.
So competing here tonight, we have Army and Navy, Springfield, Penn State, and Nebraska. Nebraska, one of the top men's gymnastics programs in the nation. 5 teams, 6 events. There'll be no buys for any of these programs. We'll go straight through. Army will follow the Olympic rotation and begin on the floor exercise. We will follow Army throughout its rotations. If there's extra time, if Army finishes up early, let's say on the vault, we'll catch up with some other teams. And hopefully for Army, coming off the meet at Penn State 1 week ago, something to build on for this team.
They had a very good meet last week, actually, at Penn State. It went very well for their first meet. They made a very, very good showing. I think the coaches were very pleased and happy, kind of hit their goals, and very good job.
And you have all the insight on these routines as we begin on the floor exercise for Army and the Black Knights going through their final warm-ups. It'll be floor exercise, then it'll be the pommel horse, rings, vault, parallel bars, and then finishing up on the high bar.
Yeah, and that's, you know, there's some technique when you go to a meet like this where, you know, it's luck of the draw and what order you go in. You know, there's different theories on, you know, do you start on a high scoring event? Do you start on something that's, you know, potentially more risky like the pommel horse and try to build those points back? But it's probably, you know, it's good practice. This is the Olympic order starting on the floor exercise for Army. So I think they're starting in a good spot here tonight.
Arnie, an advantage going in that Olympic rotation, or is it?
Well, it's the benefit you have when you host the meet. You know? Hey, you call your own shots when you host the meet. So I just think from coach's perspective, it's just pretty easy to fall in line and do it.
And the very least of a benefit, because this, as we know, the West Point Gymnastics Open, a labor of love for Doug Van Everen, Carmen Giglio, this entire program, where they're personally, of course, working with the facilities group and volunteers. They're personally transforming Crystal Arena into a gymnastics pit, essentially, over the course of about 6 hours.
Yeah, not easy to do.
This point.
Not easy to do. A lot of sore backs, by the way, in the group. A lot of sore backs.
Has to be. Arnie, are you still on the group that moves the equipment, or have you graduated from that?
I'm in a debilitated group.
Okay, well, you know,
young
it's been
guys
a long
like
time.
Colonel Dan here, they do that kind of
Well,
stuff.
Lieutenant, that's what I was going to say. I wasn't even going to ask, because I just assumed he was part of the group doing some heavy lifting.
Yeah, no, that's for younger men and younger backs. Been there, done that, as you say.
Got to earn those stripes.
That's right.
So someday
right.
I'll be in the geriatric group,
That's right.
following the footsteps of the
But
voice of Army Gymnastics.
Yeah. I'll tell you, we have
Arnie Ferrando.
And we have a great production here tonight. Of course, 3 cameras following all the action, really, for Army. And I think the 2-minute warm-up has concluded, and Army just about ready to start on that floor exercise.
Yeah, going to be a lot of great gymnasts tonight. Yeah. A lot of great performances.
And a lot of our fans who are watching, of course, as we like to say, throughout the Hudson Valley, across the nation and around the world. And we mentioned no buys, and 5 programs competing in the 6 events, and this should be very brisk as we go through. It should be fast-paced as Army begins.
It's a good mount for Corbin Barstow. It's a double twisting front somersault in the laid out position. And of course, anytime you land a forward twisting element that way, it's a blind landing. So that was a pretty solid start to their routine.
Yes, looking solid now.
Should be another blind landing here, 2.5 twist. That's a great start for Army on the floor exercise.
Solid routine.
And look who's out there congratulating Corbin.
Coach Van Everen still making it out there after 34 years.
You know, and Dan, I wanted to ask you, and we'll get into it as the night goes on, but, you know, Doug means so much to these cadets as athletes, and even after they graduate and they're in the Army, he's still there like another parent, really, you know, following their careers.
He sure is. In fact, you know, it's funny. We were outside with some of the old grads that had come back, some of the guys even younger than myself, you know, 5 years in, 10 years in, post graduation, and we were just outside, you know, shooting stories back and forth about Coach Van Everen. So he's still very present. And
There are plenty of stories. Plenty of stories.
Yeah.
Never a shortage of Doug Van Everen.
Like I said, it's going to be a brisk broadcast tonight.
Yeah, never a shortage. We can't air a lot of them.
It'll be fast-moving broadcast. A fast-moving broadcast. You know, it's hard to imagine, and I say this to Doug all the time when I see him. It's hard to imagine Army gymnastics without Doug Van Everen involved in one way, shape, or form, right?
Well, he really, in all fairness, he reconfigured Army gymnastics as we know it. Even, to my opinion, even more than Coach Maloney did all those years ago.
Well, there have been challenges over the last 30 years to the sport that, you know, Coach Maloney, you know, thankfully for him, didn't have to stare in the face, and Doug has adapted, right? He's evolved. Yeah.
Adapted and overcome. Funding a program, you know, establishing events like this, and I mean, just on and on.
And the overall, I mean, we can talk nationally, the overall reduction of college men's gymnastics programs, and even to the point we were talking before we went on the air, not seeing programs like Temple, William and Mary, club teams that compete at a high level can't even come to events like this. Yeah. Why we have only 5 programs here tonight.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
That's why it's so important to continue, you know, down the path of the endowment program that Coach Van Everen was, you know, instrumental in establishing years back. It really just secures Army gymnastics' place in the future.
It's really about survival, though. Secondary sports nowadays, you know. Unless you're the big money winner, which, as you know, in universities other than football, you know, basketball earns some money at Duke, for example. But for the most part, these secondary sports are having to pay their own way.
Army beginning here on the floor exercise. Navy's on the rings, Springfield on the vault, Nebraska on the parallel bars, and Penn State on the high bar. The Pommel horse, the one. I guess it's the apparatus gets the bye. In this
the apparatus gets the bye, correct.
Instead of a program.
Yeah.
A little short landing there for JoJo on the floor.
Yeah, that's short. JoJo's our all-rounder tonight. He's the one going all around. So he's got a big job ahead of him. Hopefully he'll have a good night.
Who could forget the performance several years ago, Jesse Glenn here in the all-around. That was special.
Yeah. But if you look at the program, there was more than several years ago. The passage of time unimpeded.
You'll keep us honest.
Yeah.
You see another blind landing there on the dismount, that 2.5 twist. You see a lot of the athletes do that tonight as dismounts from several different apparatus, the rings, floor, parallel bars in some cases. And the reason that is they've increased value for that blind landing. So take a bit of a gamble, but when you do hit it right, it's going to increase that score.
How much did last week's performance, and it was a very promising performance at Penn State, then plays into, maybe what chances you might want to take in an event like tonight?
Yeah, I'd say that it's a building issue throughout the year. That meet was like, let's get a meet in. Let's see how many.
You're going against one of the best, right?
And it's not that they were thinking they would beat Penn State, but the point is let's see how many they were after a 90% hit rate. Guys getting the bugs out, and then after you start doing that, you start, moving in some of these better skill sets and things of that nature, cleaning things up, and that's what this meet is for. A different environment, big stage, seeing how people do.
Well, and Arnie, I don't know if you tuned in a couple weeks ago to the black and gold, the inter squad meet, but the team looked phenomenal there for that early in the season. They look great, better than I've seen at an inter squad meet in years.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and in particular, we got a fabulous group of freshmen in here this year, and they really were impressive. The coaches did a great job recruiting, and you're going to see a lot of our freshmen, especially on Pommel horse. Really, really a solid group. I think last year was our weakest event, and I think this year may be one of our better ones.
Well, and that being said, hopefully for the next 3 years with the young class, right?
Better. Nice. I like that flare work on the floor. Really looks good.
Arnie, we were joking about gymnastics and then getting older as individuals. Now talking about flares, fun story. Several years post-graduation, I broke my ankle because I thought I could still do flares on the floor. And it turns out I could not.
Now, Arnie, you did say, and if you really go after it on the rings, that doesn't bode well for the shoulders.
No, it does not. It's not a good. We're both ringmen.
Okay.
And I actually have a shoulder now that needs replaced. It's actually worthless. So it haunts you. It'll follow you.
To me, that is so, as someone looking at this and looking at the sport for all these years, the rings, and we'll get to it later, so I don't want to tease it without, but that amazes me, that apparatus and that event. It just amazes me. Well, and they all do, but that one specifically, how do they do it?
It goes back to a lot of that, body weight resistance training to get those specific muscle groups built to withstand that.
And, you look at, someone evenly put together for that. At almost a West Point gymnast should be good at the rings.
Yes,
right?
yes. Yeah, that's, you oftentimes, throughout high school and stuff, you see these guys that are, the big weightlifters, the bodybuilders, and they're like, I can do an iron cross. I'm strong. I can bench press X amount of pounds up. And, they get up there and they can hardly get on top of the rings, right? It's a totally different control group of muscles that you're working. And
that's the one that leaves me breathless. But we're a couple rotations away from that. But the floor exercise beginning solid here for Army, and the Barstow score 12.357, as you can see, for Army. And these team scores, as we go through and we talk about, they're really running, so you can't
compare.
Take them really with any credence until the entire rotation is over. So Springfield's out ahead of the field, but they were on the vault to begin, so they're going to be finished
Historically,
before
vault is one of those higher scoring events.
Exactly, and they're going to be done. All their scores are going to be in the queue.
All the scores
before.
are in, correct.
And the floor exercise set up to the left. So if you're watching this as you would the configuration for an Army basketball game, to the left it's the floor exercise, then near side is the high bar, and near midcourt is the pommel horse, far sideline the vault, and then on the right front court you would say the parallel bars and the rings.
You see a lot of elements repeated in a lot of these routines. You know, and that's because although it's optional on how you compile your routines, there's requirements on certain skill sets that have to show in there at some place.
He's got a very nice routine going at this point. Very clean. Yeah,
Finish up with that.
That was a nice routine.
Blind dismount there.
He's happy. So's coach.
You know, I think we made that comment last year after one or two events. You see that energy that starts building in the team. So hopefully they can get that fired up early on and carry it through the rest of the meet tonight.
And one of the things I love seeing with Army Gymnastics, really all these Army athletics teams, is just the true love and the true happiness the teammates have for one another when they're done with their routines. That's always one of the things I love seeing, as I said, in any sport, when they huddle up, when someone comes out of a game, what have you, is just that true love fellowship.
Well, you know the old saying, the hottest fire forges the strongest steel. You know, the experience here, all that they go through in the gym and everything else together, I think you're right.
It's deep. I mean, it's deep.
You become a very close-knit group when it's all over.
You know, I'd add that's actually a pretty solid analogy also for, what a lot of these guys are going to experience in a few years from now when they're out there, in the Army being platoon leaders and leading soldiers.
Well, they got the good foundation for it, let's put it that way. That's one thing they give us here, right? It's a good foundation for that going forward.
Good full twisting double back for the mount and the floor exercise.
Two in a row that were nice like that. It's Calvin Kingshill for us. Another one of our great freshmen.
I got to tell you, the difference in the change of rules every Olympic year.
Yeah.
Nice. That was great. That was a good set.
Nice. Nice job, Calvin.
So with the change of rules that they come down from, the Olympic organization on NCAA's, when I was competing, if you saw 2, maybe 3 long passes on floor and 1 side pass, that was a long routine. You see these guys now 5, 6 passes.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same thing.
There's a lot more conditioning required to.
Hence the bell. The bell tells you got to finish within whatever number of seconds. But yeah,
I ask this every year, and I'll ask it again, maybe a few times tonight. What's the level of distraction from other apparatus and events going on?
You know, I think it's probably slightly different for each individual athlete. I'll tell you the way I dealt with it is it didn't exist. You know, you see it, you hear it, and then once you start your routine,
You focus. Yeah.
you're in your own little bubble. That's all that's going through your head is your concentrated thoughts on what you're doing next.
Don't forget, this generation knows nothing else. That's
a good point.
That's how they train in the
And
gym.
that's part of it.
Yeah.
It's not that, hey, when you're on this
No.
big stage, it's
Right.
going to happen.
Every meet's that same way.
Yeah.
There's always music playing. There's
Yeah.
always multiple. This is how they were raised. I think it's their DNA now.
So in a weird way, if there weren't those distractions, that would be more out of the ordinary.
Yes.
If they were just on a platform of the only thing going on, that might be more
I think you're right
unnerving.
there. I think you're right.
That was my time. It was dead quiet, one event at a time. It was all on you. That was, again, every grunt they heard, every oh nuts, you heard. So I like it better this way, to be honest with you. I like the multiple ring circus, if you will, and the fact that these guys, music in the background, etc.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot more exciting, right? There's multiple things going on.
They became a lot more, what do you call it, spectator friendly.
So Army now getting set on the pommel horse. 2 pommel horses. The one to the left is the one that the athletes will be competing on. The second one earlier today, we had a lot of the young kids earlier today, and I want to get to that because obviously that'll continue throughout the weekend, to get more folks the opportunity to get some reps on there. And we were out here from early today setting up with Ryan Panny, who's overseeing the whole production, this being his first West Point Open. And it's just a great thing to see the young kids getting an opportunity.
It really is. And, every year I come back to this event and, you go to other events where the junior Olympic athletes are competing all the way from, the kids that are 4 or 5 years old all the way up into, the 18, 19-year-old graduating high school kids. And it's inspiring to say, hey, there is a pipeline still available to feed these college teams. That's really great to see. And I think we'll see some of that tomorrow during the finals as well, where a lot of those kids will bug their parents, hey, can we stay an extra night and come watch the college meet?
Yeah, exactly. Now, those are perfect recruiting tools. I don't know if you saw that, but like every coach was here for that JO. It's a perfect opportunity to, like I said, to scout your athletes. This is where they come from, the JO program. So,
and with I don't know if you'd say, but with really the reduction in teams over the years, and Army's so fortunate and great leadership in the athletic department, keeping, this program going and keeping it healthy. But, it's more challenging, right? There's less teams. You got to go out, find. It's not these kind of events like the West Point Open. There's less of them, right? Where you can bring, as you say, the JO kids come in and you can, take a look as a group at potential athletes that you're going to have at your school down the road.
Yeah, that's correct. And from that JO athlete standpoint, I think I told you before, I grew up in upstate New York, and this was one of the meets my club came to every winter. So that was my first exposure to the United States Military Academy, my first exposure to Coach Doug, and some of the Army athletes. And I think that really kind of set my brain in that trajectory of like, this is something I want to do when I become a big grown-up gymnast.
And the pommel horse, and Army's gymnasts huddling around it, just about set to go. What are the keys on the pommel horse?
Staying on.
Staying on.
Staying on. Staying on, then be clean, then smoothly finish your routine. We call it the Beast for a reason. I think she earned her nickname quite well. But this is a talented group. I hope I'm not jinxing them, but this is a very talented group. And in fact, last week at Penn State, their pommel horse score was almost 12 points higher than last year. 12 points with 5 people. So think about that. There's a tremendous difference in talent this year.
It's great seeing some of the young gymnasts who competed who are still here taking video of the athletes competing tonight.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what it's all about.
And there we are in the 2-minute one touch for rotation 2. So looking at the pommel horse here, Arnie, how long did you last on pommel horse?
Oh, it was measured in seconds, actually.
Okay.
Literally
It's
seconds.
similar to
on
bull
one
riding.
hand, yeah, right. On one hand, that's right. Yeah, 8 seconds was the winner.
You know, I'll tell you this.
So you didn't win any belt buckles on the pommel horse,
not
right?
at all.
Gotcha.
And I'll tell you what is amazing is, you know, if you're the casual gymnastics fan and you're watching the Olympics, you're watching the World Championships, this, I think, is the one apparatus you take for granted.
Yeah, they make it
how
look easy.
easy it is
They
to
look
just
so
stay
good.
on it.
Yeah.
Right? So you have some of the top pommel horse folks we're going to see tonight that might not stay on it, right? And that's
There's
the one where
there's always that risk, right?
Yeah, and that's the one where, you know, if you look at all these in, I guess, in some level of comparison, you could say, hey, that's beautiful. That looks good. The pommel horse, like, that doesn't lie, right? You know what I mean?
There's no getting around that.
Exactly. You can't drive down a routine necessarily to make it look good.
Nope, you can't slow down.
No.
You can't try to muscle through. It's unforgiving. You know, and I was very happy after high school. My last meet when I was a JO, that was the last time I touched a pommel horse.
Except to move it around
That's right.
the gym.
Yeah, until I came here and Doug has us moving the equipment
Yeah.
around to set
Yeah.
up for the West Point Open.
I guess each pommel horse has its own feel. Just getting those last touches here before the rotation is set to begin.
Yeah, and that's a good point about, you know, each pommel horse has its own feel that, depending on, you know, they're all made to a certain specification, but depending on, you know, which type of leather, how old it is, you know, how much chalk, if they've put honey on it, they've scratched it up, they're all just slightly different. So what I heard Coach Van Everen telling all the different team coaches before the meet started, he pointed out this particular pommel horse that our athletes are warming up on right now and said, hey, you can use either one tonight, but this is the pommel horse. We're only going to have one at finals. We're going to get rid of the other one. So, you know, it'd behoove you to probably train on the one tonight if you're planning on going to finals.
Here we go. I think Gabe's up first.
Gabe's up first, and this is a fun routine.
It is fun. It's great to see. Flares the whole way through. I love this routine.
And you look at the folks working here tonight. Brett Rory, our assistant AD for creative video, actually was in the wide shot of the pommel horse, getting some close-ups, which hopefully we'll see on social media later.
This is what we love here, this flare work.
Oh.
It's just awesome. He does it so well.
It looks so easy.
And there we go. That's what we're talking about. Even a great pommel horse guy sometimes.
And you take it for granted. You really do. And
the margin for error, like other events, you could take a step, you can adjust, you can squeeze, you know,
100%.
move your hand.
This doesn't lie. Like there's
it's all right. There's no forgiveness here. It's like if you're a little bit off on a pommel, that's it. You lost it.
In some ways, it's an equalizer because you can't.
It's like balancing on the head of the pin.
I mean, you can't adjust a routine. You can only adjust this routine so much to make it more manageable.
Yeah, he had a nice job. It's a shame he fell because that was a nice routine. It's kind of a high starting value. I think he hurt his elbow a bit on that one.
That's one of the things too. When you fall off the apparatus, you have 30 seconds to remount and finish your routine, and you have to re-perform the skill that you fell off on to get credit for that skill. So that's that's a challenging aspect all within itself, knowing that not only did you fall off, but now you got to go back, collect your thoughts real quick, re-chalk up, swallow your pride, and get back up there.
It's the event's ultimate middle finger. You know what I'm saying? Like, you fell off on this, and now you got to do it again. It's one of our new freshmen, Blaze Kennedy. He said, I think you're going to see 3 of the freshmen tonight in this event. They all have done well.
Doug Van Everen always bringing in a good young group, it feels like.
That's the idea, I guess, is survival here in this game. He's got another very good group that's scheduled for next year, so.
John Weir.
Is that John, not Blaze? Okay.
Yep, that's John Weir.
Okay.
Out of Omaha, Nebraska. So he's competing against some of his hometown boys tonight.
Yeah.
Starts off with that required scissor work.
Some Russian work on one pommel. Fighting his way through it.
All right, so he fought through that a little bit, but he stayed on.
Number of form breaks, but he made it through, yeah.
Sometimes it's that's what you need to show the rest of the team, like, hey, we can get back on this horse.
Everything is, every little bit matters, right? So that little bit of confidence you get from, whatever that level of confidence it can give everyone else.
Right.
I would like to thank everyone watching us. I know, Arnie, you'll get the emails and the text messages from around the world.
Yeah, I've got a few text messages already sitting here.
Obviously happy with the color commentary.
I would hope so.
Arnie, I think I saw on your phone, wasn't trying to snoop, but you have it set to about a size 30 font.
Yeah, I have it set to poster size, and I still need glasses to see it.
and I believe one of the text read, "You sound beautiful tonight, Arnie."
Yeah, that was Chris Adams.
I tell you, the brotherhood doesn't end with the folks here at Crystal Arena.
No.
You might be surprised to find out that this kind of back and forth commentary with a lot of the old grads, this happens throughout the year.
I'm sure there's a number of text groups.
Actually, it does. Phone calls in the morning,
Of course.
9 yards, yeah. We remain connected through all the years and through the different years. All right, here we go. Is that Beck? No.
That's Kennedy there.
That's Kennedy, okay.
Another one of our freshmen here on the squad this year.
Wow, that was nice. That was a nice routine. That was clean, too.
Yeah. And the elevation on that.
Yeah, look at that. Doug's happy with that. He should be. Man, that was a great routine. Nice tongue fade there in the middle, and man, I'll tell you what.
And we talk a lot about Doug and everything, but Carmen, what a right-hand man.
Perfect compliment. Perfect compliment. Yin and yang. But yeah.
But I mean, you talk about two people committed their lives to Army Gymnastics, and
what's neat is both of these gentlemen were coaching this program when I was an athlete here. So Doug had been here for a series of years prior to my arrival, and Carmine started my junior year as the assistant coach. So I have a good long relationship with both of these coaches.
I mean, when Carmine's spotting on the high bar, he's got to move quick there.
Yeah, no, he's excellent. He's absolutely excellent in every regard. And again, they're a perfect complement for each other, to be honest with you.
Perhaps make that last comment even, just slightly more impressive. I don't know if you can tell the folks watching and listening online, but gymnasts aren't particularly large people. So most coaches are ex-gymnasts, and thereby they're the ones spotting these athletes.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, and Carmine has good hands. Carmine's now, I don't know, he's got to be 50-some years old now, but he's still out there, catching people.
Absolutely. And just a great, when you're up there at Gross or whatever, just your quintessential spotter for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, exactly. And I can tell you this for all the years, there have been so many gymnasts that won't let anybody else spot them, like double backs off the parallel bars, for example. Come on, coach. He's the only one that gets out there. That's the only one they want.
There's Maddox up, another freshman on the squad this year.
Nice Russian work on one Pommel. Look at that. Nice tongue fade.
Yeah, Doug did a good job.
Savada.
Good job recruiting these freshmen on an event that we kind of
nice.
Had a weak spot on.
Man,
the last
that is
3 years.
too strong. Wow, super freshman, man. I'll tell you what, that is a great routine.
I'll tell you, they're staring down the beast.
Yeah,
right?
no, that's a great routine. I gotta say, it's 2 in a row.
Good for them.
I can tell you, it's one thing. It's good to be a freshman and a good freshman. It really helps out.
Oh yeah,
being here.
And the hope is you got 3 more years to get better.
Yeah,
right.
But it certainly helps the disposition of your plebe year when you're a good athlete and starting on the team. Yeah.
I don't know about you, Arnie, but I didn't know much of what was going on at all my plebe year. There's several distractions.
I was fortunate enough to start my plebe year, so I had the same thing. In only one event, but still it was a nice, pleasant distraction from the plebe year. You know what I mean?
Well, those were the distractions that I'm speaking of. There's so much going on. Such a different change of pace, change of life for these young guys, like coming out of high school and then changing life completely and joining the military academy. There's a lot, and to still focus on the sport and perform at that level is great to see.
Yeah, don't you think this was an escape for you, though? I mean,
I think it was a savior for me. I don't know if I would have made it through a normal college.
Yeah, I agree. That's exactly right. Well, I'm just saying, the chance to, after the long day and everything else, to come to the gym and, train and work out with your friends and all that stuff, to me, it was a savior, to be honest.
They often say, and it was said long before I've been here, and I've been here 19 years, is, at a lot of schools, practice is the hardest part of the day. At West Point, practice is the easiest part of the day.
It's right. It's correct. What you look forward to. Exactly right. That's a good point.
And not that practice is easy, but it's compared to everything else, the other demands, requirements.
Carter Beck, another freshman.
Wow, these guys swing nice. I mean, look at their form.
And that's what you're looking for in Pommel horse, right?
Look at the elevation, though, too.
Extended, straight body lines.
And then that's where the stamina comes in, because you can only do that so many times.
Nice.
There you go. It's another hit set.
Yeah,
for
I'm
Army.
telling you, those 3 freshmen are dynamite.
Look at the excitement. Look at the smiles. Look at the emotion.
There we go. Team's getting fired up now, Arnie.
I know. That'll do it. JoJo's in last, I think.
You know, Arnie, that reminds me, the other day, last week when we were passing out some assignments on, who's picking who up at what airports, I feel like seeing that freshman walk back to that team right there, that's what it felt like having our conversation. The Ferrando brothers were so fired up to find out that Dan Colomb was coming to pick him up.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. In fact, the cops were suspicious. We were so excited.
That is absolutely true.
Yeah.
So you got picked up by Dan Colomb?
Yeah, at the airport. He was actually coming back from D.C. and coordinated his time.
Which
My
airport?
Brother, Newark.
So is that the brand new terminal? Did you fly into?
No, they were.
Okay.
No, Terminal A is the new one.
Right, $2 billion.
Oh, is that right?
$2 billion
Okay.
terminal.
Yeah, no. Came in on United, which was C, and my brother Delta on B. So, what's going in Terminal A, by the way?
Just redone.
Yeah, they rebuilt the whole terminal.
Now sophomore JoJo
Our all-rounder.
Bristlemeyer.
I hadn't seen the scores there.
So it's a partial, and that's where.
No, I meant of our the freshmen on Pommel. Did you guys happen to catch any of those? Yeah, sorry.
Try to take a look.
JoJo, he's one of these guys the last few years coming back for different meets and up for reunions and stuff like that here at the academy. You see this kid smile. He's got such a great way about him all the time.
Always, yeah.
Does a scissor work in the middle of the routine here?
Is there a order method you guys preferred?
Nice routine. That was nice.
That was another good set for
Yeah,
him.
that's 4 out of 5. I mean, really good. That was good. That's I was telling you earlier there, Rich. The Pommel horse is no longer a hold your breath and wait event.
And I think that was an absolute fluke. The amount of times I've seen Gabe compete that.
Yeah, true.
Very similar routine. And I don't recall ever seeing him fall off that apparatus. That was a fluke there tonight.
But that was an overall. That was a good rotation.
Yeah, very good rotation.
That was good. Now it's the rings. So this is the one where, and I'm next to 2 experts on it. This is the one event that I marvel at.
And this ring's coming up. This is the event Arnie and I are gonna, compare ourselves to the
absolutely
current collegiate athletes.
No, I'm not.
Now, okay. For both of you guys, when was the last time you got on the rings?
Are we talking just hanging on the rings?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. In fact, I was telling everybody earlier, like every class that comes back, like for reunions, especially the old gymnasts, they think they can still do some things, and you can't. You end up hurting yourself, like he was saying earlier. You know what I mean? And I was here, and
You might just jump up and grab them sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's just it. I was here, and, we were like, 30, almost 40 years old, and guys are getting up and thinking they can do something. It's like, first of all, that was 20 years ago. Second of all, that was 30 pounds ago. So,
and it hurts a lot more now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you could really do some serious damage.
Absolutely.
At a certain, I mean,
Well, it's Arnie and I sitting here talking about how we've had, shoulder rebuilds and, the constant pain at times and, the arthritis and all that stuff. It takes its toll.
We wouldn't trade it for the world, though.
No.
That is an absolutely true statement.
I wouldn't trade it for the world. All the surgeries and everything else, wouldn't trade it for the world. I get asked that all the time. Wouldn't trade it for the world.
So Army will be next up on the rings. Black Knight started on the floor exercise, then the pommel horse after rings. It'll be vault, parallel bars, and then Black Knights will finish up on the high bar.
Getting ready for that 2-minute one touch they have here. So I got a message from my sister and brother-in-law. They're listening along. They say hello and they love the commentary, Arnie.
I don't get any messages, just so you know. I'm just telling you.
But you are the voice of Army football, Rich. Which, by the way, the West Point Magazine did an outstanding job on an article. Well deserved, I might add.
Appreciate that.
I really enjoyed reading that, and you deserved every bit of it. I think you've done a fantastic job over the years for Army football. You are the voice of Army football, like the Fultons. Fultons are the voice of Army gymnastics.
They sure are.
You are the voice,
I will
and
say,
you're awesome.
Among the things, I appreciate that, and thank you. Thank you very much. But I'll tell you, I love this event every single year. Can I tell you? I just love being here, love being around you guys, and just absolutely love this camaraderie here.
Well, good. We love having you. We're glad you're here with us.
It is absolutely a very fun event to come back to.
The rings. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys take it away here because I'm just going to be mesmerized for the next 20. It's about 20 minutes per rotation. So
yeah, so a couple things on rings. You're going to see some guys that can swing very well, and you're going to see some guys that are just monsters on the strength moves. And then you're going to see the best of the best that can do both of those things very well. And those are the guys that are going to come out on top tonight.
So I just got a text from former Army captain, class of '82, C.J. Adams, who was an Eastern champion too, by the way, and actually a gymnastics judge for many, many years until last year. He sent me an x-rays of his neck. He's had neck fusion surgery, major surgery in his neck, but to the point, wouldn't trade it for the world. So I think for all that we got out of it, it was certainly worth what we put into it, no doubt. We mean 2 minutes, by the way. 2 minutes is 2 minutes. Not 2:01, not 1:59.
And just looking, and these scores all unofficial because obviously we're at the end of that second rotation. Navy in the lead, then Springfield, Penn State, Nebraska, and then Army. But it's like rolling scores here, so
yeah,
it's really hard to get your finger on.
It's hard to gauge at this point where everything is going to play out. That's correct.
But just for our listeners and our viewers, it's an imperfect scenario, and when you look at it, there's 6 points separating first place from fifth place. So
yeah, it's an imperfect head-to-head scenario. You're right. The way you have this 6-ring circus thing going, or 5-ring, I guess.
I mean, they're scores. The scores are legitimate, but they're not necessarily apples to apples until it's all over.
And it's going back to touch on, we talked about 2-minute touch means 2-minute touch. So many people, parents, and others that come to these events here at West Point, that's one reason they continually come back year after year, is that they know it's going to go as planned, right? And that's part of that military installation into the gymnastics meet.
I can't tell you how many times I hear over this long weekend from parents, coaches, judges, best run meet in the country. Best run meet in the country. Thanks for having us. You guys did a great best run meet in the country.
Not surprising, though.
Well, not after 30-some years, is it? No. I mean, if you can't get it right in 30-some years, you got a real problem.
That's one way to look at it, I guess. I would just say it's a well-oiled machine with people who are passionate, people who care.
True. But you have to understand there's a lot of rank that's at this thing. There's a lot of colonels out there working for this thing.
There's a great angle at Churchill here.
It's Army's first setup on rings. Very controlled, very clean set so far.
Yeah, nice dismount too.
Well done.
Good kid. Yeah.
You know, that's oftentimes that's exactly what you need. You know, we started a little shaky on the Pommel horse, and then we got it back together. The freshman really pulled it in at the end there for us. And then, you know, you move right on to the next event, and you almost have a little bit of a fresh start. And a nice clean set like that is exactly what you need to get the team off, get them right back in the proper headspace. Good shot of the judges finalizing score there for the still rings.
I don't know why the score is taking so long on rings here. Strange. There was no real break or no real problem.
No, I think what happens sometimes when you have two judges, they have to be within a certain threshold of each other, and if that's not the case, they have to go back, review their chicken scratch of deductions and what elements they saw or didn't see.
Yeah, good point.
And they talk it out.
Meanwhile, the gymnast is waiting, and Coach Evan is waiting.
And how about Coach Evan? Right? We can't forget about him.
Yeah, no, he drew lift duty here.
All right, here we go. See if Gabe can pull it back here on the still rings. Kip Tuinel right into a nice looking Maltese.
Iron cross.
Down to the cross. You know, that was one of my strength moves on the rings, was the Maltese. Similar to an iron cross, but you're laying parallel to the floor. Did you compete a Maltese?
No, I was much simpler than you. L cross, iron cross, Olympic cross, that's all I could do.
Hey,
yeah, no,
I
wish I could say I could do those, but no. That was a nice set, though, very nice set. It's strange, too. You never see a good high bar or a good ringman who's a good side horseman. That's anomalous. They normally don't go together.
Yeah, you tend to see different body structures.
Right, exactly. So the fact that Gabe's good at both says a lot.
And we've got some of the Army team waving up to us, our area.
I think they're waving to the manager for
I know,
filming. Is what
but I'd
they're
like
doing.
to-
Yeah.
They're waving in our general direction.
You're right. Yeah.
As that scoring still being rectified as we get a look at that scorer's table for the rings. So I wouldn't say we're delayed. We're just a little bit of a pause.
So 3 Army athletes remain in the lineup for the still rings. You know, we were joking last year, colorful commentary that goes between Arnie and myself about how Arnie competed on the swinging rings, which of course is a joke, but the swinging rings are not. This event used to be called the swinging rings. Now they're called the
Flying rings. Flying rings. Yeah. Used to be called flying rings. They were when I competed. I was just bad at
I'll
it.
tell you,
I just couldn't keep it
flying
still.
rings, that's a very entertaining when you look at what they moved on to, like whether it's Cirque du Soleil or like that.
Yes.
You take the bones of the flying rings. That's some real impressive stuff.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I mean, you think about circus and Cirque du Soleil, a lot of those principles are gymnastics principles.
There's a lot of NCAA gymnasts after graduation that find themselves
In fact,
the
a number
circus.
of them from Springfield. I've seen them in the shows. Yeah.
Those forward rolls between the rings, that's a skill called the Yamawaki.
Which I wish they'd get rid of. It's not my favorite ones. Come on, Carter. Nice dismount. Nice dismount.
Good full twisting double back for his
Tiny
dismount.
deduction.
Nice landing. So Carter's he's a great addition to this squad as a freshman.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. I think, that they were saying at the beginning of the year that they were a little worried about rings not being a strong event. We'll see how that goes. It's looking pretty decent. I know next year that some of their recruits are pretty studded in rings, so I can see that's the idea of not having a weak event, right? I mean, that's why Nebraska is so great. They really have a weak event.
Yeah, high points.
At Penn State, there's not really a weak event. They're loaded from like number 1 through number 4. I don't know why ring scores seem to be lagging for some reason.
So it looks like we have Patrick Armstrong and JoJo remaining on the rings. Any thoughts there, Arnie?
Yeah, JoJo's a good ringman. This is a strong event for him. So I think it's good for his all-around score, and I think it'll certainly be good for our event score too.
And I guess let's talk about that for a second as we're waiting on that judging to finish up. You talk about all around. That's traditionally something that is commonplace at the JO level. But once you get to college, the rules change. In each competition, the coach has to decide who he competes as an all-arounder and who he competes as individual event specialists to fill that roster. 'Cause there's certain parameters on how many people you can compete total and how many all-arounders.
Right.
in a meet.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's
Used to be that way back in my day too. It seems to cycle through over the years. There's a nice
a kip to a Maltese.
Yeah, it's nice, Patrick's job. Fell short on that.
Missed that handstand. There's those Yamawakis again that
Yeah, that
he
I'm
loves
so fond
much.
of.
Another swing to a strength element. A little shaky on the handstand.
He's having
tonight.
some control issues. I like the dismount. I do
The
like
2.5
that
twist,
dismount.
that line landing, that's going to increase the point value for that skill. You know, and sometimes you get hyped up, and then that adrenaline crash, you get the jitters. You hope that doesn't happen while it's your time to compete.
That's exactly right.
I have experienced that.
I have too. I hate to say that. I have too. Just like that one meet, everybody's getting up. You know, it's a close meet, and just too much adrenaline. Too much.
My first time at the NCAA championships, I was very excited, and then had a crash of adrenaline. And once I got up to compete, I felt like a wet noodle.
Yeah, felt like you just got out of bed. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, just adrenaline dump, as we say in the physiology world.
That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah, fine line. I don't think people understand that. I think that's a good portion of the battle is how you control yourself prior to your performance. I got to say that I got to talk to Bob Whitney when we're done here. I don't know why the scores are so slow in this event. In fact, I think we may be the last one to finish in this rotation.
I think this is just one final athlete for Army on the still rings. But you are right. That does seem to be a slight delay between each during that scoring process.
Yeah.
All right, looks like JoJo's ready to mount. Good lift there by Coach Evan. Now, sometimes you see the gymnasts adjusting their grips.
That's nice.
As they get up, and that's just to ensure they go into their first skills that the dowel is correctly placed over and around the ring. Solid handstands from JoJo tonight.
Nice start so far. Nice shine. My favorite moves.
There's those Yamawakis and Bucker Prize to the straddle out.
Nice.
Nice. Stuck landing.
Stuck landing, yeah.
Good way to finish up that event.
That'll go well. Good, strong event for JoJo. And a stoked Army team, yeah.
That good team reception.
Yeah, yeah.
So moving along here on the rings.
Actually, I think we're waiting for some event to finish. Is it parallel bars since we're waiting to finish? Oh, no. And
one more athlete on the floor.
And pommel horse, too. Yeah, okay.
That did seem like a slower rotation that we've seen.
Yes.
Score-wise, it certainly did, but hey.
And we've had, and not that we're tracking these other schools, but we've had at times where some extra athletes might go on an apparatus just to give them the opportunity.
As an exhibition,
yeah.
Right.
And not sure if that's happening necessarily tonight on these different events, but.
Yeah, they're watching how this Penn State athlete who was actually doing some nice flare work, etc. too. Kind of had the same problem JoJo did actually there, slipping on the movement across the pommel.
Never underestimate that pommel.
Yeah.
So I want to give a quick plug to this whole night vision concept that we've developed over the past several years. You know, in the past, it was, hey, you're local and you can make it up to a meet or a game, and if you're not, maybe it's broadcast on a radio channel somewhere. I know the gymnastics team years ago started doing like Facebook Live broadcasts, and then the evolution of that, you know, now we have a stable web link, we have commentation, you know, some question and answer, sometimes interviews. It's a really great evolution to see. You know, if you're out of town, you're not local, you can't make it up here, but you want to stay involved, this is a great evolution of that process.
And we mentioned Ryan Panny, who's really spearheading all of these live events. This is first West Point Open, and he's jumping on a camera here to help out as well. Make sure our audio's okay, making sure the screen's looking good, and we are fortunate. Michael McCartney helping us out tonight as well, pressing all the buttons as our director.
Looks like one more athlete on the Pommel horse, and then we'll rotate into rotation number 4.
And this is Penn State. Happens to be on the Pommel horse.
You know, as you said, the scoreboard right now, as far as team scores look, is almost 100% inverted from how it looked.
Yeah.
On the last.
Because the scores come in
so
late. You can tell who competed late. The scores come in late. Yeah. So right now, like Nebraska's at the bottom. I don't think their entire Floor X event score has been entered at all.
You know, I think the judges on floor are actually in a deliberation as well, because there is still one athlete remaining on the floor exercise from Nebraska. Arnie, it's good to see looking across the arena here. The stands did fill up quite a bit from when we first started here.
Yeah,
right
true.
before the meet. So that is good to see. And I think tomorrow night during finals, we'll have an even bigger crowd.
I think a lot of the JOs and JO parents,
will come back tomorrow night.
Yeah, and they wanted to come and see these guys, obviously. The ones who have aspirations, obviously, to college want to come and see, what it's going to be like.
A lot of problems on that Pommel horse.
Yeah,
tonight.
especially for Penn State. That's usually a huge event for them, but that's like a fourth large mistake their fall they've had.
I'd point out that Penn State fielded the current world champion on the Pommel.
That's right. Yeah, he just graduated.
We got the team camaraderie. I mean, looking down here, we got manager camaraderie. We've got Coke and cake delivery coming up to the production booth here.
I tell you, there's a.
Got it made. You notice she didn't bring us any Coke.
She did not bring us any cake and Coke.
I noticed that.
I
That's okay.
Noticed.
We get you. We get you.
And now one last Nebraska athlete, it appears, finishing up the floor exercise. Team leader on the rings, JoJo Busselmeyer, 13.350.
Yeah, that's a nice score. Oh, man.
A little under-rotated.
Yeah, on the triple. That was asking a lot for that slow motion, really.
You know, Arnie, we're joking about the managers getting cake delivery up here, but that's one of the things that why we come back here and we try to continue to inspire and develop the cadets. Talk about our in the sense it shows them that the camaraderie we still have in the friendships they're going to make, and how important what they're learning here is for their Army careers and throughout life.
A cake and soda delivery could manifest itself one day into picking someone up at the airport.
You're absolutely correct.
I mean, that's your comparison.
That's why you're the voice of Army football right there. Yeah.
He gets it.
Yeah, he does. Just nailed it. It's right on. This event will go fast for us, as you know.
That's it. So that's the fast one. So we're halfway through this 2023 West Point Open. Army still with the vault, the parallel bars, and the high bar. So while Army's on the vault, Penn State will be on the rings, Nebraska on the pommel horse. So maybe if Army briskly gets through the vault, which we anticipate, we could peek in on the Cornhuskers or the Nittany Lions.
So there's two main vaults that you're going to see competed out by the Army tonight. One of them is called a rear entry vault. It's like a Yurchenko entry. The other one, that's called the Yurchenko style vault, and then the other one's a Kazumatsu or a suit style vault, and that's a front entry, almost like a round off onto the table, and then a series of either twisting, flipping, or a combination thereof off the table.
Yeah, you're going to get there one of two ways. It depends how you leave it. That's really where it comes in. How many twists? How landing? How many rotations? That's why I like the changes of that event, to be honest with you. I thought the vault had gotten extremely stagnant as a gymnastics event over the years when they just took the pommel horse, took the pommels off, you know. This new table thing really has opened up a whole new...
It certainly lends itself to more options.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and not for nothing, it is a safer design for the athletes as well.
That's true.
You know, you see some of those old videos of an athlete slipping off the board and taking that front of, you know, what used to be the pommel horse without pommels right in the chest. And you don't see that anymore. You get this kind of inclined, curved entrance, and it's a wider...
It gives you more real estate to do stuff with.
That's
right.
Correct.
And if anything, they'll slide right off or through it down to the mat. I really haven't seen any bad crashes.
And it looks like, yeah, exactly. And if you crash, it's really set up to minimize the impact.
But it's a lot more room to put your hands on, and then, you know, like you said, handspring off and round off, and, you know, do things. I think it was a great development. I don't know whose idea that was, but I applaud them.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it was a great one.
And Arnie, you never had the opportunity to vault on the new style table. This only came about in the late 90s. They brought it around.
That's... I don't know, is that even 30 years old, that table?
I have vaulted on both style, and I can tell you it hands down a far superior design as far as the athlete's concerned.
No doubt. It really makes it a much more exciting event, too. I really believe that.
So in 2003, the current vault became the standard for international gymnastics. So it was used the several years before.
It was used.
Interchanged, and in 03, really probably the lead up to the 04 Olympics.
Correct. And that makes sense. Because I recall it almost being a seamless transition. I left, you know, JOs in high school years on the old style vault. And when I came to West Point, it was like, oh, look, we have this great new toy.
And obviously the transition time, right? On and off. And
first vault for Army, not a bad vault. A couple stumbles on the landing.
Yeah.
And that was Corbin, and that was that rear entry vault I spoke of earlier, called a Yurchenko. And he did a 1 rotation and 1.5 twists off of the table.
Scoring slow in this one, too.
Tell you, we talked about a brisk West Point Open with 5 teams in 6 events. But
you know, for some reason, the presentation of scores seems to be a... that's not to mean to diss the judges, because these guys are great judges. They've been with us for many, many years. They're all outstanding judges. A.B. Grossfeld is judge of vault, is an Olympian, you know, a legend in the sport. So that was nice. Yeah.
That was a good vault.
Yeah, it was a very good vault. Nice landing, too.
And Doug Van Everen right there with the handshake.
Yeah.
I think it has to be such a balance for Doug Van Everen running this event, being essentially the event director with a ton of help, right? And then coaching a team.
Doug is active for about 72 hours straight during this weekend.
Yeah. He's pretty tired by the end of it, as you can imagine. You're right. He wears many hats here. Thank you very much.
And now we're getting some sodas delivered to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. No, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you guilted the managers, Arnie. I think you did.
I may have to go apologize to her when I'm done here. We still have yet a score. There we go. Okay, so we finally got a green.
Sophomore up next, Maddox Heblon from Army.
Very nice.
That was good. And then there's that Kazumatsu with an additional full twist. So that's a double twisting dismount off the table.
Maddox Pavillon. That's a nice ball.
You know, Arnie, we were commenting earlier, watching some of these collegiate athletes warm up prior to the meet, and just the amazing transformation between the level 10s that we watched this afternoon, you know, high school juniors, high school seniors, and that very next year, some of these college freshmen and sophomores, you know, and that goes to the point of, like, you know, there's some great coaches out there. You get to that level, and they can really hone in and improve on, you know, each athlete's basic.
I agree. I didn't come through the club system. They got us from caves when we were doing hieroglyphics. Yeah. So I don't know. I know you came through the club system, but I think it just shows you when you get to an environment like
another great
That's
ball.
a nice ball.
That's a nice ball. Yeah.
Pintz.
That was a great ball.
Another sophomore with Army.
Yeah. Pintz. Jonathan Pintz. Great job. But yeah, I think you're right. Well, obviously, there's a couple years of strength and maturity in an individual, but you know, like you said, I would imagine on a team like this, you get a lot more attention, training time, etc., than you would in a club.
Yeah, and that's right. I mean, you look at, you know, the Army team as an example. There's 3 phenomenal coaches that their full-time duties are dedicated to developing these athletes.
Roger that, yeah. Right, I know in the clubs, you know, they got 1 million people to work with.
There's one coach that coaches all the different skill level teams. And sometimes they coach both the men's and the women's teams as well.
Yeah, which in some ways makes you really admire the job they do at the JO level too, huh? How well they do.
You know what I thought was interesting during the level 10 meet? I saw a female coach for some of the male athletes.
Yes.
And it's
becoming more common.
It's
have you noticed that?
becoming more common, and that's very interesting, because there's, you know, though the men's gymnastics and women's gymnastics it's both gymnastics. They're very different.
Yeah.
You know, different events. kind of different focus on where that body strength needs to come in. So that is very interesting.
Maybe it's come full circle because, in the earlier days, all the men used to coach women's gymnastics.
And, and there's probably, through analytics and everything, I would like to think that there's elements of the women's discipline that could be added to the men's side and vice versa. So having those perspectives can only help.
You're 100% right. And I'll tell you, when I was growing up training in the JO program, one of the things we did once or twice a week was we went to the women's dance coach and took ballet class.
Absolutely.
Was that your cheap way of dating the women gymnasts? Is that how you did that? Is that
I'll tell you,
Arnie, an old gymnast never gives up his secrets.
Good point.
And I'll tell you, because there's so many, again, with everything being so competitive, you have to look for every kernel that you can to gain an advantage. So I think anyone would be silly to assume there aren't things each discipline could learn.
I think JoJo's our last vaulter here. Our all-arounder. So far, so good. Been a strong event.
Yep, and again, looks like JoJo will be performing a laid-out Sukahara with a full twist. You can hear the Army team cheering their teammate on, trying to get him psyched up to nail this vault.
Yeah, well, it's been, as I said, it's been a great event so far. And he has had a very good meet, too, pretty solid. He had that fall on the floor, but other than that, he's been solid. There you go.
Good vault.
Yeah. I missed the number of twists. Is that one or one and a half?
That was a Suk with just one twist.
Okay.
So not as high of a start value as if there were two twists off the table. But sometimes an athlete will make that choice to do a very clean.
Yeah, he had a nice landing. You're right. Nailed it. Nailed it.
It's oftentimes you talk about risk versus reward, right? And that's one of those.
Right.
Hey, I know I can nail this skill and do it to perfection. I can do this other one, but sometimes I miss, right? So what do? You make that call.
True. So what do you think now that we got in and out early? Who do we watch? Nebraska on pommels. I think Penn State's on rings.
Let's take a look. Well, Nebraska looks like they've finished the pommel. Oh, no, they have one more on the pommel. Let's take a look at Nebraska on the pommel.
He fell off just finishing his routine, yeah.
Oh, so that's just wrapping up then. So we'll stay on the floor exercise with Springfield.
That was a triple twist.
Yeah, he got it in too.
And we saw one of those earlier where the guy from Nebraska came up a little bit short.
It's kind of hard not to come up short on a triple.
Yeah.
Well, it's a gutsy move.
I was never a good twister going backwards. Never perfected that skill on the floor.
I'm with you.
Well done on the high bar for Navy, finishing up that routine. So, Army getting set here on the parallel bars, and the warm-up will begin shortly. Waiting for these scores to somewhat normalize.
Yeah, so just two more events left in this
Time flies. I'll tell you what. You guys are awesome. Love being here with you guys.
it's, we look forward to this all year. I know Arnie does.
I do.
And sometimes he sends me text messages and emails just almost, proclaiming himself to me in the sense of, I can't wait, Dan, until the next time that I can.
Arnie doesn't text me.
Well,
I listen to you, though, Rich. I listen to you, buddy. And I tell everybody I know that guy. I know that guy. Yeah.
Anything we can do with this event to, bring that Army Gymnastics family closer
it's
throughout the
appreciated.
world.
Believe me, it's not lost. I know we're ribbing here, but we really appreciate what you do here and what you do for the team here. It's very important, I think, for our program as a whole and going forward.
And as you said, there's Army Gymnastics fans and ex-athletes and families that maybe are still serving in the military, and they're all over the world, so they can watch and listen to these broadcasts and stay connected with the program.
So Penn State was still finishing on the rings there.
Yeah,
so
I think we're still finishing up on the floor here,
yeah,
too.
so we're not yet at that 5th rotation. And Artie, we've had some years here with some unattached athletes, international athletes.
Yes.
Right? We've had fun with those athletes and what they've been through to come here
Yes.
to compete at this.
Yeah, well, we had some unique groups here over the years, you're right. Remember there's a team called Gattaca or
Yes.
something?
The Gattaca Club, yeah.
Yeah, they got a number of, like you said, international athletes together and came. Do you remember that? Were you here then?
I've seen Gattaca before,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It was only several years that they were kind of in existence, and then funding fell through for them and all. But whoever footed the bill there had
Good intentions, really.
And a great number of great athletes too. They really did well here.
Another triple full dismount on the
made
floor
that one.
exercise.
Nice too, yeah.
It's like maybe the last athlete for Penn State on the still rings. It's that Yamawaki sequence.
Yeah, that I'm so in
Arnie's
love
favorite.
with. Yeah. That's the problem with these events. That when you have certain requirements, everybody does the same requirements.
Same
so
skills, correct.
yeah. So I liked it in the old days where they had broader, so that you had more options, and that was nice. Yeah.
There it is, moving on to rotation number 5 in that 2-minute one-touch
I
warm-up.
don't know if you noticed, Rich, like Nebraska, one of their coaches is a guy named Jim Hartung, which is a gold medalist from '84.
Yeah.
He was on the gold medal team '84 in LA, and great gym. They were a great team together, a great gymnast. So, in fact, he's down there now, and he's been helping out the team for quite some time now.
I mean, LA '84, I mean, that's really the pinnacle of U.S. gymnastics, right? The team gold medal for the men.
Yeah.
And then Mary Lou Retton on the women's side.
Yeah. That was Peter Vidmar years and Daggett, and I mean that was a great team.
Bart Connor, Mitch Gaylord, I want to say.
Mitch was on there, yeah.
A lot of gold medals for the U.S. in 1984.
Yeah, that was a good. All right. Touch for 2. Let's go.
Yeah, so let's talk parallel bars. I think the Army team, that's probably one of their better events this year, at least as far as difficulty and start values go.
Yeah. But they have some nice performers there. JoJo does a good job there. Has usually a strong bar routine. And
got tonight Patrick Armstrong start value of a 14.8, the highest on the Army team.
yeah, and we have a couple freshmen there too, right? Blaze and just Blaze. Johnny Pence is on there too. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what this one was like, because during that inter-squad meet, whatever it was doing the live broadcast, was it Facebook or something? But it like choked right as they started parallel bars, and that was it. It died. I never saw the end of it.
So got through the rings, and now the parallel bars and the high bar to finish it off. How important is that, and it always feels that way, that first elevation, that first, I don't know if call it a jump, but into the parallel bars, that first little bit of momentum, so to speak.
Sure, yeah, there's a couple elements there, right? And you'll see some guys use the springboard, some guys don't. I guess it really depends on what style mount are you using to get onto the apparatus. But, again, we were talking earlier, some of the comparisons in the technologies and how the equipment has progressed throughout the years. These bars, you can see the flex in them, right? And if you use that correctly, it provides almost like a spring. You're gonna bend it down and then use your body along with the flex of the bar to give you some propulsion in the up period there. So,
well, not only they're more springier, like you said, but they're thinner too. For my time, they used to be very rigid. That's why these guys are doing all these like swings and great dismounts and everything else. You can get a lot of drive out of these things.
But interesting with the other like hanging and swinging events, the horizontal bar and the rings. The gymnasts wear grips, right, to help them remain in contact with that apparatus. To underswing on the parallel bar, there's no grip or dowel on the athlete's hand there. So you see them sometimes put layers of chalk and honey or sugar water to build up a good grit to keep that friction up so they don't slide off underneath the bars.
All right, our first guy up. Nice.
There's that underbar swing giant.
Another giant. Nice. That drives me nuts, by the way. That's another move that drives me nuts. Just a regular peach basket.
Just a little peach, yep.
Yeah, it's just like, okay. But nice routine.
Double pipe.
Nice routine.
Just about
well
nice on that landing. Little step.
Nice routine. Good job for Blaze.
And that's Blaze, another freshman on the team this year.
Yeah, nice set.
Yeah, we have seen a really nice showing of freshmen on this squad.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, these kids, the coaches bragged to me last year about, this incoming class, and I see for good reason. This is Jackson Popel now. If he puts a set together, he's got a very nice parallel bar set. I've been watching him now for some time. Good kid, one of the seniors, I think. He's trying to get into med school. His goal is to get into med school. So,
And speaking of med school, we have one of the returning athletes, Ahmad Haq, with us here this weekend. He was an Army surgeon for several years, recently retired, and now continuing surgeon life, but in the civilian capacity.
Yeah, in fact, saved a lot of lives in Afghanistan. He saved a lot of lives. Excellent surgeon, retired as a colonel.
And I know he keeps in contact with Coach Van Everen, inquiring about any of the athletes that are looking to go into the Med Corps, go to med school upon graduation, and mentors those athletes.
Nice Healy twirl, very nice. Nice the
Ahmedov.
Stutz hand.
There's that peach.
I got to talk to this team. Nice though. This is really. Come on. There we go.
Double
nice
back
job.
pike and the stick
That was
landed.
a beautiful routine.
And it's right in front of the Army bench area. So you know there's energy that's coming from that group.
Yeah. That's his only event tonight too. So it's nice to wait all that time and nail it like that.
And then the celebration.
Yeah. See Nebraska doing a inverted. Man, I was watching that kid on rings, sat on a dismount.
There's Patrick Armstrong setting the parallel bars to his liking. If I'm not mistaken, I think Patrick trained under one of my previous coaches.
Oh, really? He's from this area? He's got a great amount. He does this underbar mount. Watch this. It's pretty neat. I got to hand this is another guy who's worked his butt off for 3 years now, and now he's finally getting his chance to start and does a great job. But I really like this mount.
It's that kind of that underbar like scoop around with the I agree. It's nice to see athletes perform some different skills that you don't see all the time.
Unique. In fact, I remember when this skill was first done, it was in the 72 Olympics. It was done by the Japanese, and it really made a big splash then. And here we are, 50 years later, all doing it again. You gotta wonder, who gives you the idea for this mount too? You know what I mean? All the things you can do is hey, let me try this.
Right. You can literally just hop up to an underbar hang and do a little kip or a front uprise.
Yeah. Well,
or you could try this.
Let me reach under. Try to get my head out of the way.
Right, try not to choke myself on the other bar.
Yeah. Very nice.
Right? Yeah, it's a neat looking mount. Nice little back upright front toss there.
P-Chan. Nice giant, yeah.
Back up to the handstand.
Giggs comes in for a dismount.
Double pike and a couple steps. But that was a nice routine.
Yeah. is JoJo.
This is JoJo Bushmeyer up next for Army. Just waiting on the final score for Patrick Armstrong off the parallel bars.
About halfway through this 5th rotation, Army will finish on the high bar.
That back upright front toss again. That's a neat looking skill.
I like it. Healy. That was beautiful. Jamadoff. Beautiful. Nice lines. He's got very nice lines.
Yeah, you like to see that on the parallel bars where they stretch it, stretch out and show you that nice straight body line. Another double pike.
Yeah, nice, good. Solid, solid, solid. So we got one more. Johnny Pence, I think, is our last guy up.
I think, yep, Johnny Pence looks like our last competitor for Army on the parallel bars.
And then we'll be headed to the high bar. And when Army finishes here in the parallel, Penn State was on the vault, so they're finished. Maybe we can catch up with some Nebraska on the rings when Army's completed the parallel.
All right, here we go with freshman Johnny Pence. It's a nice underbar swing to straight arm.
I like the giant work these young guys do. I like their, they're swinging on the bars.
Peach up the handstand, a little short on that, but he pulled through.
Fighting Ed Diamondov. There we go. There you go. Nice.
Well done.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a strong event, too. I was pleasantly surprised with that parallel bar.
Yeah, a couple bobbles,
steps
no landing, and one or two short handstands. But, for the most part, all skills were completed, right? Form looked pretty good throughout all the routines, and that was a solid event.
Matter of cleaning them up for, a number more points. But, they got some great routines there.
Nebraska finishing up here on the rings. We had Springfield on the pommel horse. As we scroll through some of the scores on the vault, some good Army scores on the vault as well as the pommel horse. So the scores keep coming in, just a couple of points separating the top 4 teams, though Nebraska's ring score still needs to be taken into account.
Maybe we go to the rings, watch Nebraska on the rings.
So let's take a look at Nebraska here, finishing up on the rings.
So far, it's been a strong event for them, although they had some trouble on some landings, but they definitely have a strong event there.
And Penn State, Nebraska, they'll be among those vying for the national championship come April.
Well, Nebraska's certainly supposed to be one of the best. Now, I don't know. Tonight, they've certainly made a lot of mistakes, but it is early.
Yeah, see, that was a great landing there.
Yeah.
Blind landing.
It's high, too. Is that it? Was that the last one for this rotation? Looks like it, huh?
And Penn State's already prepping the parallel bars. So Army will now move on to the high bar.
Yeah. Last event for tonight's competition.
Go so fast.
I don't know. You know, usually we get this meet done in 2 hours. We're coming on 2 hours now, in fairness. For some reason.
It's been a little longer last few years. I think it's been closer to 9:30. Looks like it won't be done here till, what, 9:15 or so.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we'll wait to tabulate out those scores. Usually takes a few more minutes. Then they'll announce the all around and all. Yeah.
All around and the team championship.
Yeah, and then your individual finalists, right? Event finals.
One thing's for sure is we're scoring much better than we did last year. I mean, here we are, 327 at the end of 5. I mean, again, we come close to 390, depending on how well this last event goes. Yeah.
Army's got a shot here going into this final event.
Yeah, no, they're solid. They're really solid. I gotta say, Navy is
very impressive tonight.
Yeah, they've had performance throughout the depth, as I say. You know what I mean? Like top to bottom, they're pretty solid. It's one of those meets, that you got to just do. You can't have many mistakes. Like the Army-Navy game you called, you know what I mean?
That's right.
It's like that one mistake makes the difference, right? It did.
Absolutely.
When you look at it, those one mistakes, the block punt, whatever it was.
But from a spectator's point of view, that's what makes these competitions fun, right? Like,
exactly.
Not knowing, say the Army-Navy football game, like, of course we want Army to win.
And win big, I might add.
That is correct.
But
from a spectator standpoint, a tight game that goes back and forth is entertaining. It's exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can't tell you, like, after that Army-Navy game, I got texts from literally all over the country. Congratulations, great game, this and that. Obviously I didn't play in it, but,
Well, that's what you talk about, though, what it means to so many people and the ownership.
Right.
Right? It just shows the love of that program, what it means to be a part of West Point.
That's right, yeah.
There's so many hallmark events throughout the year, and proud to say this West Point Open, one of those hallmark events, right? When you point to your calendar, sports large and small, however you want to, slice and dice it. This West Point Open is a big part of the Army Athletics calendar.
Well, that second weekend in January, that's already blocked off on Arnie and I's calendar for next year, right? Like we know,
right. Yeah.
We know this is where we're going to be.
That's right. You're not going anywhere else
next year, right?
And it's your annual reunion, right? It's your, it's your forced scheduled reunion.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
And Doug Van Everen's the ringmaster, right?
Like a bunch of strange brothers coming together once a year.
Yeah. Can't beat it.
So
you get to walk away from work for a weekend and be 18 years old again.
That's right.
Yeah.
But not get on the ring.
Yeah, right.
Some of us more than others.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, now the high bar. We're going to finish this thing out for Army as we follow the Black Knights here through the team competition. We'd like to thank everyone for watching and listening to us tonight across Night Vision.
Noah Pace. Noah Pace. Yeah, nice.
It's that free giant.
Yeah.
Which, that's another one of those skills that fits an element group as a requirement.
As a release, you mean?
Some of the athletes do a really showy job at that. It looks kind of cool, and some of them just barely let go of the bar.
Nice routine.
All right, that was a good start.
Routine, yeah. Good start. Nice routine.
Well done. So Penn State vaulted ahead of Navy, no pun intended.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
And Penn State was on the vault.
Well done.
And so we're looking at Penn State, Navy, Nebraska, Army, Springfield here, leading into this final rotation. And this place will be turned right back around. There's a women's basketball game here on Sunday against Boston University.
We get clean up tomorrow night.
We already have our marching orders for after tomorrow night's meet.
You guys get to sleep in a little bit?
No.
Tomorrow? No.
Tomorrow's a very busy day. We have the wall of distinction,
Sure.
all that tomorrow night, the mixer and the finals, and 2 sessions tomorrow. And then, like I said, cleanup.
Jam through to Eagle Grip Giants.
Yeah, that's nice.
Another free giant there.
This is Calvin. Yeah, nice.
That was you like when you see those stalders that come right out right to a handstand, right? That's how it's supposed to look.
Nice job.
That was a good execution on that routine.
Nice job. See, it's good for me, like, as you know, like Calvin and others. They're here, they train hard for 3 years, but they never really cracked the lineup until this year. But here they are, seniors, didn't give up. Now they're putting in the time, and it's paying off.
Being around these athletes for as long as I have here, and obviously myself not playing a sport at a particularly high level, there's so much more than competing that goes into being on one of these teams.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Like we talked a lot tonight about, just that camaraderie.
Yeah.
The brotherhood that you are kind of forged into during your years on that sport here at the academy. It's one of the greatest things that you can take from from this experience.
Noah Pace set to go here on the high bar.
Is he 14-1? Like you said, they're lower starting values, so they got to be clean to score. Nice. Nice.
There's Carmine with his high bar spotting.
Nice. Nice height. It's good height.
Yeah, Noah did
bar.
2 of those
Yeah.
reverse hexes in this routine. One in the laid out position and the second one in the straddle position.
Oh, nice job.
Good job.
Very nice job.
And the score's rolling in. Really, this is where, you know, they're going to normalize here during this sixth rotation.
Yeah, it is interesting to watch them kind of bounce around, you know. But then you have that understanding that you're trying to keep up with, again, comparing an apple to an orange, and did that last score get entered yet, and so on and so forth.
And Nebraska finishing on the vault, so they're still going on, but they're going to be done most likely
and
before
score
everyone.
Big there too.
Exactly.
So big score.
So the way this will play out, Nebraska will put a number up there,
and everyone will chase it
as they finish off the final rotation.
Back on the horizontal bar. JoJo's up.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Is that Kovac?
Got a little excited on you there.
No, I think
nice.
you spoke for all of us.
I didn't know he was doing that, to be honest with you. That's a new
those
move
arms
for
just
him.
extended out. They
that's a
just
new
got
move
longer
for
and
him.
longer.
That Kovacs is a risky move. He did well.
Gosh. Came out of nowhere.
Yeah, he looks good swinging on the high bar. Nice,
Yeah, he does.
Nice lines.
Nice lines. Like I said that in para bars. He does. That was awesome
great
routine.
set. Great
that
set
was an
by
awesome
JoJo.
routine.
Well done. Play, that's his last touch of the night. You wonder the feelings he's going through,
Yeah,
right?
he had a great night
That
tonight.
was the way to finish too, right there. What's a Kovacs? That's got to be a D, isn't it? Difficulties over here somewhere without my glasses.
Yeah, Kovacs is a D level
yeah,
element. All right, moving right along on the high bar.
Yeah.
Zachary Perez.
Nice.
There you go. Spin right into the extra half twist, right into the L grip. And the Stalder's in there. Coming up with the dismount.
That was a great event for us. That was a
all look good.
Sweet event. Yeah.
That's a great way to finish.
Yeah, it really was. That was, in terms of hit rate, too, that was an improvement over last weekend. So I got to be happy with this.
Hey, looking at the camera, the Army team looks happy with what's going on here tonight.
It should be, yeah. It was a great performance. We'll see when it all settles out, but it really was a solid performance.
I'll tell you, that's, from what we witnessed, not much more you could ask for watching just Army tonight. Now we'll see where these scores end up settling in at, but and Nebraska's got that big number to chase, 399.3, as it shows right now.
Higher at that, I think. My guess is they'll be somewhere around 410.
Now they're finished on the vault, but I believe one more score might need to come in for them. And Navy finishing up here on the Pommel horse, and
yeah, they had some trouble. I've been watching them. They've had some,
early on they had some issues. This guy looks like he's doing a great set right now.
Yeah, beautiful, nice lines. Yeah, keep your mouth shut, Arnie.
It's like, and there's the jinx.
Yeah, that's right. As soon as Arnie says that, he's down. Yeah, but again, that was a flawless routine until he missed his hand. To our earlier point,
you're talking about the real estate. There's just not much room for error there.
Exactly. To our earlier point, right? It's just a nice routine that now has a major deduction. Nice sequence there too. Yeah, Savato, Magyar, I mean, it's just covering it nicely. I would have scored very high had he stayed on for sure.
You know, looking back at how the Army team competed tonight and who competed tonight and who threw up a lot of their top scores throughout the evening, you know, I think it's a fair assumption to say that this is a young team, and they got some years to really develop and just get better.
It's good to see the freshmen do so well so early, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so well, and just seemed like every event we saw, you know, a couple, three freshmen. So always good to see. And these numbers, the Nebraska numbers, 399.3, Arnie. That was with that final vault.
Yeah, that's a little surprising to me, I gotta say. But hey, that's it. That's it. What it is.
So Springfield finishing on the rings, and then we'll keep it here for a couple minutes just to give you those final scores before we sign off. And Penn State actually finishing off on the parallel bars as well.
Tough move there. You don't think the competition between Nebraska and Penn State's pretty real? Yeah, listen to that. The Big Ten rivalries, yeah. Who knows?
That's right. We got.
So now we'll take a look at these.
One more on the rings, is that?
Yes, one more on the rings. Not sure how much that's going to affect the Springfield score. at 361.75. I think Springfield might be baked into that 5th spot. Some scores still coming in, though.
Yeah, you know, Nebraska, I was watching them warm up, and I thought, holy mackerel, they certainly have a deep skill set, but they were missing a lot, in all fairness. They were
did
falling
have some
a lot.
mistakes tonight.
They were missing a lot of dismounts. They were falling a lot on floor and on and on and on. So, I don't know, maybe it's their first meet, and they got to clean some things up. So, you know, it wouldn't be surprising to me if Penn State overtook them in the final tally here.
As you see, as it stands, Nebraska, Navy, Penn State, Army, and Springfield.
Yeah, I don't know if Navy, they had a good meet. I don't think they got the horsepower to beat Penn State. We'll see how that one plays out here.
So your thoughts, I know we've touched upon it, your overall thoughts on Army tonight?
Hey, I think you know, as I was saying earlier, I can sum it up, and I'm excited to watch this team grow and get better over the next 3 years. And in talking to Coach Van Everen, he's got another great year of recruits coming in that he's very excited about. So that's just going to help even more.
Yeah, I echo what Colonel Dan here says, and I think the other thing I've noticed too is, like, there's not really a weak event, to be honest with you. There's not a great disparity. Like, as you remember last year, like, Pommel horse was a drastic disparity from the rest of the team and score and dragged us down a lot. I don't see that anymore. I see a pretty consistent performance from top to bottom throughout the 6 events, to be honest. So, and I feel like we're only improved.
Yeah. Peers are just waiting for the final ring event here. Springfield finishing up. Then we'll get a score, and then we can.
Yeah, I told you. Penn State 407, yeah. Nebraska 399. What's the Navy and Army score? How close are we? 394.
4 points.
4 points.
394,
yeah.
390.
Yeah, we can do that. Star meet, here we come.
So it's still, as we say, it normalizes out, right? So Penn State will win the 2023 West Point Open. Nebraska, Navy, Army, and Springfield. Guys, a lot to build on.
And if you look at those scores, we're not out of that running with Navy right now.
Yeah, not at all, not at all. Star meet, here we come, like I said.
Well, it's been great being with you guys once again.
Thank you, Rich.
We appreciate it.
I look forward to 2024.
Yeah, no, great 2023. Thanks again for everything. Appreciate what you do. Appreciate what you do for Army as a whole and Army football in particular. So, yeah.
I appreciate what you guys do with me
great.
Each year, making me not sound nearly as bad as I should, and your support for this West Point Open and Army Gymnastics. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And thanks to our entire crew tonight for Arnie Ferrando, West Point class of 1978, Dan Colomb, class of 2003. Rich DeMarco saying so long from the 2023 West Point Gymnastics Open. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great rest of your Friday night.